And welcome back to Prop by the Bar. We're coming to you from the council offices on our first episode for 2026. So back from summer break.
Welcome back.
How are you?
Yeah, good.
Ready for 2026?
I am actually pumped for 2026.
Here we are. We're about to interview the mayor.
Yep.
12 months on from when we first
I'm excited
interviewed
about that because a lot's happened, right? And he's been really quite, in my opinion, probably one of the best mayors I think we've ever had. He's been so at the front of things, pushing things. He's come in at such a tough time when there was so many things in Geelong not going right, and I think on the back of previous mayors who, in all due respect, probably hadn't been as out there and as pushing the issues as we needed. And
he's not afraid to tackle it.
He's not afraid to take the hard issues and have a crack. And that includes the state issues as well as the local issues. And he's identified coming in what those issues are. And I think he's gone after them as hard as he possibly can. And I think I know that he's committed to only to a couple of years as mayor. I'd really like to see the council think about keeping him on past whatever they've committed to, whatever promises or backroom deals have been made to put Stretch there in the first place. I'm appealing to the councillors that we have found someone who's a great leader for our town that we all want to get behind. Why not?
Especially when there's a lot of work in progress. So you want to see that to fruition.
We want to see it through, and we need someone like Stretch to keep pushing and keep, with his energy to take it through.
On that, we'll get to Stretch, but we just want to thank our viewers. We've had 2 back-to-back record episodes. I think we've had 45,000 plus over the last couple of episodes. So thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe if you want to hear what's happening latest and greatest in Geelong. So let's get on to market wrap.
Well, it's an interesting time of the year. I mean, we've had quite a lot go on over the Christmas period, which has really probably slowed down the property markets more than anything. And we always slow down going into Christmas. We always have a pullback, but really what's, everything from the fires 9th of January, the Bondi tragedy that happened there, and then the current recent fires. We've got a lot going on in our region to take focus off property and probably take away that.
Politically, there's a lot going on world over too.
There is.
Venezuela.
Venezuela, and you see gold's at like $6,000, no, $5,000 an ounce, and heading towards $6,000.
And silver's gone through the roof.
The interesting thing there, it only costs you $3,500 an ounce to get it out of the ground. So people are paying $2,500 more than it costs to create, which is something unique. You don't see that very often in metals, but it's an interesting time for the whole economy. But the fundamentals for the market, for our property market, remain. We've got a lack of supply. We've still got big issues about getting property to market. One of the biggest issues, I was talking to a developer just today actually, and one of the things that's starting to come to light is how developers are reacting to these land taxes. So in the past, when a developer was to develop a piece of land and create 50 lots, and that developer might sell 40 of those lots in that sales process and be left with, say, 10 lots on hand. And they'd sell that 10 lots over a period of time while they got on and started the next stage. And they'd always be doing this way, and that way creating supply to the market. But what happened over the last 12 or 18 months is the government's land tax, they've gone and hit them for the land tax on the remaining stock of, say, 10 lots. Now, that's a huge bill. For example, out at Bannockburn, a development there, 10 lots, land tax equated to over $300,000 in cost to the developer for hold them every year that he had to hold those lots while he was holding them, trying to wait for buyers to come. Now, what this means is developers going forward are not developing that extra 10. What they're going to do is develop that 40 that they can sell, and they're not going to develop the rest of the estate. They're going to wait until demand comes up, and then they'll develop that next 10 so that they don't get hit with the land tax. What it means is, again, another crush on supply. And what it means is developers in this state, the government in this state disincentivising development in these estates where we need it the most. It's just this is on top of the windfall gains tax and the other taxes that are crippling the industry.
You can see how it's affected property in Victoria. I think a 5-year average of increase average over the states, you've got Perth at 80% over the 5 years increase. You've got Brisbane at about 70%. South Australia or Adelaide at near 70%. Guess what Melbourne is?
Negative.
15%. So we're talking 15% versus 80%. So you can see the effect of what this state government has done on property.
Has done in property.
Yeah.
And you know, we're starting to see that have a benefit to the market in terms of putting pressure on price, because the lack of supply, what this is actually doing is creating some more demand. So you've got an undersupplied market, now you're getting increased demand, because we've grown so far below those other areas that we now look like a really good value proposition for investors. And what we've actually seen over the last little while is a 13% increase in investor loans. So that's what we look at, is how many loans are given to investors versus owner occupiers. And we've had a 13% increase in investor loans back into Victoria over the last 6 months, which means that investors are starting to see the opportunity in Victoria, and that makes us the fastest, well, especially for Melbourne, it's the fastest capital city growth for investors over the last couple of months. But it's only fresh change. If you go back further than 6 months, you were seeing over 19% of investors
really
left the state over the disincentives.
So on that, we're sitting here week before RBA meet for February. We've had some numbers come out today. I think inflation has increased by 0.4%, and unemployment has dropped, which indicates...
Well, looks like they might, contradict what they said maybe, and maybe give us an increase in rates. I'd hate to see it.
Well, we've seen CBA and NAB during the week increase their fixed loans.
Two banks have gone with it and said they'll increase it. I think NAB's gone the hardest and said they'll go by 2 points, or two jumps. CBA said 1 jump. Westpac haven't said anything, and ANZ have said they're going to hold, I think. So,
well, if you say nothing, you can't be wrong.
Well, you can't be wrong. So I think that the banks do disagree on this as well. There's 50-50.
So on economic front, right across the board, what are you sort of seeing?
We're starting to see consumer confidence has been at historic lows over the last 12 months. We're starting to see that sort of repair a little bit in a couple of different ways. We've seen the population growth, although they're saying migration is slowing. It's only slowed, I think it was 556,000 last year, and this year it's 436,000. So we've only slowed by a small proportion. So migration population is still high. If you want a job, you can go get one. So I reckon the economy is actually pretty good stead outside of Victoria as a whole and nationally. I just think in Victoria we seem to be living under a bit of a cloud. I think, though, when I'm looking forward to what 2026 might provide, I think coming into an election there'll be a lot more promises. I think we'll see a lot less taxes, because the government realises that they can't keep doing that and win an election. So I think coming into the end of the year, we might, after an election, I think we'll see a bump, and I think, and I'll actually go out and predict, we might even see a rate drop in the second half of 2026.
So can we pin that as a prediction?
Prediction, a rate drop.
A rate drop?
A rate drop.
There we go.
Yeah.
So we were talking off camera about some of the markets within markets, as there seems to be quite a fragmented market within the residential. Yeah, it's
really interesting, isn't it? It's a really good opportunity. If you're out there and you're at the bottom end of the market at the moment, maybe you're a first home buyer, you've been in this market for 3 or 4 years, and you've bought in at that 2022 period or 23 period, you've probably just recently experienced a fair bit of growth in that sector. That first home buyer less than sub 850 is going really quite well. It's had quite a good growth in that sector. But the sector up from that 850 to that $1 million mark up to 1.5 million is quite slow. And then above that, it's actually even dead in the water, right? We're seeing properties over 2.5, 3 million not even moving.
Just not moving.
Yeah, just not moving. So what that means is you can actually sell at that lower end property and upscale into a better property, a high value property, without paying for it. So this is a very unique opportunity for people to be able to upscale. Upscale into something big. So if you're growing that family and you're looking for a bigger house for your family, now is the time to be looking to get into the next one. So I've got a big house already. I'm not buying another one. I can't afford another one. School fees.
So
interestingly enough, school fees have gone up by 5.5% as well.
That's great advice, but if you can just put the disclaimer that that's not actual advice, Chris, you can just put that on.
It's an opportunity though. You don't see these opportunities come up where a fragmented market is so obviously there that you can go out and sell your house at, you might have paid $650 for it, you've just sold it for $850. You can jump into a house at, it was 1.1 when you bought it at $650, it's probably still 1.1. And realistically, in a very short period of time, that will ripple effect and that will be worth 1.3 or 1.4. But right now, you can pick up that value, with that jump. So, there is an opportunity there for people to upscale at that bottom end, which is a great opportunity, I think.
Time for our top 5, or your top 5 for the month.
That's because you don't always agree with them, right?
rarely agree with it, but you've picked 5 crackers.
I think I have. I think I have. They're good ones.
And there's some actually interesting ones. There's been some suburb benchmarks.
I think there's a funny one in there, but we'll get to that. Yeah, there has been a couple of benchmarks. It's interesting because, you know, what happens over this period of Christmas, you get people looking more focused on the coast.
Yeah.
And the coast has really suffered for a long period of time. So it's great to see some good results. Yeah. So it's great to see some good results coming out of there. So we saw a record sale in Armstrong's Creek at 41 Ambrosia Drive, Armstrong's Creek. Fletcher's has sold that for 1.35 million, which is a new record for that part of Armstrong's Creek to have a house in there, 1.35 million. I don't know if you go back to the day where you know, the average house price in there, I think 650,000. So to have really good quality homes being recognised in there is really good for the region. You do need, in all regions, you can't just have the same product. You need different product mixes. And I think that it's good that some of their higher end stuff is starting to be recognised as good quality living.
Well, when you're comparing it to growth corridors in Melbourne, like Pakenham and all that, you look at the attributes close to the beach, and you've got so much infrastructure. And
you go to some of those western growth corridor areas and you just shake your head about how people live out there. But you look at Armstrong's Creek and the way it's been developed up, especially around that Wurriki estate and stuff like that. There's quite a lot going for it. It's quite pretty.
So what have you got at number 2?
Number 2, old mate Danny O'Brien, and it's an absolute cracking pad. It's for sale at the moment, 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom house with a 4-car garage. But it's a cracking property. I think he's asking 4.3 to 4.5. Yeah. Absolute awesome property in Conowari. It's not far from the golf course and the eastern from the beach down there, 13th Beach, and it'd be a nice place to live down there for those who can afford it.
So number 3.
Yep.
Could we see a new record broken in Lawn?
Well, I reckon so. It's a nice house. It'd be very interesting, especially with the fires now, to see whether there's consumer sentiment to accept that sort of price point down there. But there is certain people certainly have an appeal for Lawn. It's a beautiful place to live. That one is 142 Smith Street, Lawn. It's 5-bedroom, 7-bathroom, architectural design, pool. It's
price expectations?
Beautiful. Well, they're asking 7.9 to 8.5.
Yeah.
Karen Stribling, Great Ocean Road Real Estate. It has to be somewhere in there. I would say towards the bottom of that range personally is where it might come out at, but because that's what we're seeing with all that stock at the top end, I reckon this one will still be here when we film next time as a prediction. But it's and I really hope Karen does. I do hope Karen busts through the ceiling there and gets that
now,
one away.
One that could be a record for Barwon Heads is coming at number 4. 49
Flinders Parade, Barwon Heads.
One
sold.
That has sold?
Yeah, sold for 5.5 million. And that is a record for Barwon Heads. 4 bedrooms, 2-bathroom house that sits backs onto the river. And what a great place to be. Mind you, there's a house being built there that's probably worth, 3 times that, but I don't know if anybody will ever, go for it, but if it will ever sell. But 5.5 million is a lot of money for a house on the river, but it's a beautiful spot.
And at number 5, well, we're going from one mayor to a former mayor.
Yeah.
And
I'll put this one in for a bit of a laugh because we do love our Darren Lyons. Yep. He did a lot for Geelong. He got us on the map a fair bit. He certainly got us a Christmas tree. I'm all forever grateful for the Christmas tree, Darren. But just don't knock it because we still love it, even if you don't. But he's been quite loud and proud over this Christmas period, Darren, out in a lot of social media.
He's passionate.
Yeah, very passionate. Well, he's got 2 properties on the market for sale. He's selling down his portfolio. So maybe he's thinking about buying one of these big pads down at Barwon Heads. Or Lawn maybe. But he has an apartment in Darlinghurst, New South Wales, in the Horizon development that's completely painted pink internally, which goes with Darren's theme of decor. So I put it on there as a bit of an interest piece, but he's asking 3.8 million for it. So it's a hell of an apartment. But he's also got another property at 16 Rankin Street, Newell in Far Queensland, asking another 6 million.
Both cracking spots.
Both cracking properties. I mean, I think the one in North Queensland's got gorilla statues in it and stuff like that. So it's he's one of his own taste. But I tell you what, we are rooting for you, Darren. We hope that someone watches this, sees how good those properties are and buys them for you so you can come back to Geelong and help us keep pumping it up.
There we go. So they're the first 5 top properties.
Yep.
Now give us your 5 top predictions for 2026.
5 top predictions for 26. Rightio. Right. I reckon we'll have slow continued growth over the first 6 months.
I agree.
Which is probably...
Yep. Well,
everybody's saying that, so it's fine.
With rates that are...
Especially with rates a bit on the edge and inflation where it's at in US. US to fall into further economic decline, bringing us to the point that the RBA will decrease rates in the later half of 2026.
So you got a prediction of how many
That's
cuts?
right. One cut.
One cut.
In the latter half of 2026.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some are predicting 2 cuts in the latter half. It will depend on how bad the US goes. Certainly if they shoot any more people in Minnesota, it could go a lot worse. November election to bring us more commitments to our region, and that will help a lot, I reckon. A few decent election commitments to Geelong to help grow the City of Geelong. If we can get an election commitment around Market Square, which would be fantastic,
well,
that actually would bring a whole lot of
We're top 1 or top 2 fastest growing regions in Australia, so we need some funding down this
I think we're going to see, my prediction is that we're going to see a lot more election promises for regional outside of Melbourne, in regional Victoria, because I think it's now well known how lacking region has been in election commitments and money spent.
If only we had Commonwealth Games down here or something.
Yeah, my big prediction, Labor to suffer the biggest majority loss landslide in Victoria. But it will be when it comes to the net counting block, it will still be neck and neck, and One Nation and the Shooters Party will decide, with their preferences, will decide the winner.
There you go.
Yeah, that's what I said. The Shooters Party.
Yeah. Can we pinpoint that one too?
So Labor will suffer a big. They'll lose a lot of seats. They still could win, depending on preferences, but I think it'll be up to One Nation and the Shooters Party and maybe the Greens, the minor parties, to figure out the winner, because it'll be that close.
And I like number 5.
Number 5, you could lock that one in. Geelong to win the flag 2026. Let's go, Bailey Smith. Bring it home, buddy.
All right, well, let's get on to our interview and let's bring in the Mayor. It's time to welcome our guest for this episode, and returning to Prop is Mayor Stretch Kontelj. So welcome back to Prop.
Yeah, thank you.
And we're amazed that you agreed to come back. So, so thanks very much. So it's been 12 months. You've been in the chair, or a little bit longer. What would have been the greatest accomplishments in the first 12 months, do you think?
For me, I think it's setting out the agenda. I came back onto council. I felt that the City of Greater Geelong had lost its way as far as being the voice of the city, namely in articulating a vision. I think the city is well placed to act as an advocate and facilitator of what is Geelong's direction. And I felt that the council at the time didn't have that vision or wasn't capable of forming it. I think that's been settled to a large degree. There's been a number of forums that the council has facilitated since I got back onto council. There was the developer forum, there was the shared vision forum later in the year, and then there was a forum focusing on India. We now understand that the areas that council is the city will be focusing on is advanced manufacturing and everything that entails, with the carbon fibre. We've got the port, we've got Avalon Airport, we've got the refinery, then we've got fantastic health service, world-class health service with Bowen Health.
Drone Shield now too.
Drone Shield, that's here. That's right. Yeah,
huge win.
Lockheed Martin, hopefully coming our way as well.
Yeah.
Education, tourism, major events, arts and culture, the social insurers, of course, TAC, WorkSafe, NDIS, making the most of that, and agriculture. So it's been settled where we're going to focus, and then within each of those pillars, you've got all the micro projects. So I think that was a big achievement, is getting the city positioned as to where it was going to head. Putting a real focus on CBD revitalisation, I think, has been critical. And fortunately, as the mayor, I've also been the ward councillor, so I've been able to prosecute from both those perspectives. That includes talk about what may happen with Market Square Quarter, which we can go into a little bit. The bus stops.
Actually,
need to talk about that.
Yeah, let's have a chat.
And where that might lead, and that needs to be unlocked. Redevelopment of the train station site, or getting a master plan, certainly sorted for that. The arts and culture precinct, and what I say by that is the redevelopment of the gallery. That's going to be a big priority project in the lead up to the state election. And also activating the town hall, making that a destination, an arts immersive,
beautiful building,
fantastic
well
building.
located.
Yeah. So I think for,
You've been
for
busy.
me, been
It's a
busy.
long list.
Yeah.
Do you reckon when you came in, there was I don't know, you probably didn't see it, but from the outside we could see a shift in the wind. There was like your energy that you brought into the council. It changed the way that changed the dialogue. It changed the way that people were addressing issues. We were actually started addressing issues front on. Identifying what the issues are really clearly and having a crack at them. And for that, I congratulate you. But it did feel like a full-on shift in the wind and a change. What I did feel, though, was some divisive resistance from within the council executive and the team. Was it hard bringing having all these great ideas and great ambition, but then getting an existing team to change and come with you on that journey?
Yeah, to buy in.
What was required was a change in the thinking and the culture. We needed to have a culture of can-do, open for business, and let's get it done. They were the three things that I was saying to the organisation. And the frustration that I had for the first 6 months was just simply trying to get the momentum going for all these things that I had in my mind to try to get them moving into that direction.
You're a big advocate of getting them back to the office and getting that front of house sort of stuff working. Do you feel that you've got them back in working and getting the most out of them now?
Oh, look, I think the organisation has always been working hard, but I think it just needed to be, I suppose, more focused and more business commercial focused about the can-do. And the organisation I found has certainly been very receptive to that. And I think we've just moved gears now in that way of thinking. It's not perfect and things are never going to be done fast enough for the likes of the developers and so on. But I think if there is that expectation within the organisation that that's how we want to be seen from a values and cultural point of view, that's what I can do as a mayor and we as councillors can do.
Well, I think that's
by example.
And that quality of leadership, I think, is starting to really come through. So, and again, I think you're doing a great job there. One of the things you came out from really strong with from the get-go, and you're quite vocal, not just in Geelong, but statewide, was around Australia Day and bringing back Australia Day and wanting to get Australia Day going again. Unfortunately, things changed this year and we didn't quite get it going again. Is there a reason for that? What happened there? Why didn't we get Australia Day back?
Oh no, I think we have taken Australia Day back. It's on the calendar as far as the council calendar is concerned. Citizenship ceremonies were returned. There is no cultural cringe about talking about Australia Day. The councillor group were all out and about, passionately promoting it. The one event that dropped away was the Family Day at Rippleside Park. That was a surprise to me as well. That was only announced to me the week before Christmas. That the group.
Was it an executive decision? Or
No.
The
group that actually runs that is an independent body called the Geelong Australia Day Council. And they came to us and said, look, for two reasons, it's going to cost us more than what we have a budget for, but the money probably could have got it sorted out. It's just simply the volunteer group that was putting it together
couldn't get enough people.
Couldn't get enough people. A number of the key organisers had health issues and couldn't commit, and it just dropped away.
It's a shame.
They've done it for 60 years, so I just don't want to be seen to be bagging. They've done a great job, but I think just they need some rejuvenation and assistance.
So
excellent.
speaking of rejuvenation, and you did allude to it early, CBD was a big ticket item, I think, when you first come in terms of getting the CBD going. And adjunct to that is Market Square. Is there any updates to where we sit with?
Look, the Market Square is it's a disappointment to me. There's no doubt about that. It's not going to be an easy solution. I've been in discussions with the ownership group. It's now been publicly aired that there's, a very acrimonious legal dispute going on between the brothers, and that now explains why it's been so slow to move forward, because when things get caught up in legal actions, as we all know, it's very hard to extract yourself out of that. And particularly if you've got a family that's well resourced in regards to all three brothers, it's going to be difficult. So I ideally would love to have seen that developed as a private development, but I've also recognised that there is also a potential route forward with a compulsory acquisition, potentially through state government. So that's something that we may have to look at in the lead up to
I
the
may
election.
have advocated a little bit towards
Yeah,
it for a long
I'm
time.
sure you did, yeah. And there's been, G21's done great work with yourself and Michael.
Yeah.
You come up with a great concept. So I think the time is now to start pulling that lever.
I think we have to work really hard on that over the next. We've got now till November to get some promises
Yeah.
out of either party that wants to come forward and put that forward. But in my mind, I think that's the one keystone that could unlock Geelong. Geelong's potential.
I think that'll be potentially that's the fastest route forward.
Yeah.
Even that gets protracted and legal, but at least there's a way forward. There's an act of parliament that sort of dictates that.
But you've worked within what you could achieve, haven't you? So things like compulsory acquisition, it's outside council's hands. Really, it's got to go to a state government or something like that. But you've advocated. I know I've been involved with the avocation, and you've supported that. So that's going to come, or it's not going to come. We're going to keep pushing that. But there is things we can do. The small things we can tick off along the way that are within our powers. One of them was the market. The markets we're running on Saturday.
Yeah.
That's been an absolute success.
Yes, look, the big picture has always been the redevelopment of Market Square. That we know is the property right in the middle of the hub of CBD that needs doing, such a big parcel. But what I've said, and we've discussed it as councillors and the organisation here, we need to make do with what we've got. So we introduced the market, and that's been fantastic. It attracts around 8,000 people.
It's fantastic.
9,000 people, depending which weekend you talk
Great
about.
berries. You get the best berries in town.
Oh, they really are.
They're delicious.
It's a great showcase of local product. And what that is doing is almost 80% of the people that are attending that market are coming into the CBD expressly to attend the market.
Yeah.
So that's new blood that's coming into the town. And when they're here, the majority of them will then go off and spend time and money in other
shops, cafes, whatever it is. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's been a great thing. In fact, anecdotally, talking to traders of other stores that are in the CBD, they say that on the Saturday they experience trade that is equal to the week before Christmas.
Wow.
So, that's such a big thing. Because you imagine
how good is that?
if they've had a flat week, if they can get a bit of a spike on a Saturday, that pays your pays your rent,
It's keeping
pays
them
your
alive, isn't it?
salary. It keeps the head above
and
water.
Maybe it buys a bit of time so those other developments that are happening, like the Bright Hitchcock building and other ones can get developed and get out there and support it. And then all of a sudden it just builds and creates into something.
Well, what I want to do is now move through the gears of that and move into stage 2. Currently the market has been at 40 stalls. We've put some infrastructure into the Mal there. It can now accommodate 60, so it's going to move to 60 stalls a week. But also what I'm talking to officers is about introducing a permit system at no cost to any other trader in the CBD for the Saturdays to have sidewalk sale. They can put trestles.
Like outdoor trading.
Yes, so that everyone can get involved in the spirit of market.
That's just a straight out way. That's just very smart.
So
I'm excited.
They have to apply for a permit, but at no cost.
Yeah.
And as long as they've got insurance for public liability, they're the two tick in a box.
Will that extend to the cafes and to the?
For me, as widely as possible. As widely as possible. Of course, it's now with the officers to work out the detail, then has to come to the councillor group. But it's what I'd like. I'd like the CBD to be something different to a shopping experience that you can have anywhere else. Yeah. And so that entrepreneurial spirit of market can embrace the whole city.
How great. Is there a time frame? Is it a summer thing? Is it a year long?
Year round. Year round. The market is year round.
Yeah.
And the two guys who are running it, fantastic, Simon Toohey and Kieran Blood, are doing an amazing job.
It's been great so far.
Yeah, they've really been able to bring life and colour into the market.
So
yeah.
Well, congratulations.
So that is working well. We're introducing, funnily enough, and you're the first to know, what I'm calling Funky Thursday.
Funky Thursday.
Funky Thursday. That's going to occur on the village green that's right out the front of the city, the main head office here.
Yeah.
The idea being there'll be bean bags, there'll be some shade sales, food vans, a DJ playing on a Thursday to attract the workers back into the city, and also those workers who are in the NDIS building, TAC, WorkSafe. Anyone is welcome. They'll all converge into the spot right behind us here.
It's a perfect spot
for a Funky Thursday.
We WorkSafe right there, NDIS right there, the council offices.
Again, just to bring some life.
There'd be 3,000 workers between that little precinct. Yeah.
And it's again getting back to the point of making do with what we've got, And likewise with the old town hall, I touched on it, working very closely to settling a heads of agreement with an internationally renowned artist to have an immersive art gallery in the town hall. That would be something that will add to the destination of that as a precinct.
It's all these little boxes we can tick in. It's all these little things that we can control, and then we've got to try and work on the big issues and advocate and all that sort of stuff. But you've got to tick off what we can as we go.
That's right.
Yeah. Buses.
You've advocated long and hard. You're feeling a little bit vindicated that state government now have agreed to pull it in and have a look?
Yeah, look, I'm very pleased, Michael, that that's occurring. I have been advocating both publicly and behind the scenes, so I'm pleased that Christine Cousins and her colleagues are on board to open it up and have a proper review. I really believe that it's holding back that Moorabool St.
I think most
precinct.
people will agree with
Couldn't
you.
agree more.
And even the Market Square have said in the past that they won't move forward unless that can be resolved. But you can't have a premium retail precinct that's congested by that over-engineered the buses and the bus stops, and the buses are going in there spewing the diesel. It's just not attractive. That should be that run from Wurriki to Moorabool to Mallup along Moorabool Street should be premier retail.
Yeah, it really should.
And it will tie it in, and maybe even the market can then continue to grow into there on a Saturday. And just help to bring it all to life.
Bring it all back.
But you can't do it now.
No, you can't
do we
do it
have
by-
visibility of what that process looks like?
Well, no, I don't know. It'll be a matter of consulting in a public way and having online and stuff.
I'm putting
I
on
don't know.
notice. They better actually follow through, because as a concerned citizen, I wrote about it in the paper in one of my articles, and it was the article that's had the most feedback and the most single-minded feedback of how much the public want to see the buses moved in Geelong. So it's about time. And I think your plan is spot on. We have one spot at the train station and we drop them off in the shuttle buses and things.
Yes.
So everybody will still meet their commuting needs, but at the same time, we're going to get them out of the CBD. We're going to be able to create and promote the CBD.
Yeah.
They need to follow through with these promises to look at it.
Yeah, look, and the city will play its role. We will then do what we can again with that philosophy about making do with what we've got in trying to beautify Moorabool Street as best our budget allows, increase the lighting in there, look at what we can do by way of some planting and repainting of the centre medium strips and so on. But at the moment, you can't do that. You can't do that.
No,
You'd be wasting your money on beautification.
And lately, you've been more than just advocating with issues and all these things. You're doing it quite busy, but you've actually been out at night time as well. You've been out with the police doing the check-in on the nightclubs. Did you actually get your booty on and get down to the kids?
I didn't get into the clubs, but one thing that I did, I learned quite a few things actually. It was amazing. It was eye-opening, to be perfectly honest. And how the dynamics of that CBD changes. At 1 o'clock, everything changes and it gets quite wild, particularly in front of your offices there. Not because anything that you're up to, Michael.
He's fast asleep. Married, got to be married man now.
Yeah, but Beeves Bar closes down and there's just a convergence of people into the street. So what the police and the council have done is we've changed the traffic management of Little Mallup Street after on a Friday after 10 p.m. and then till Sunday 5 a.m. where it's only local traffic, so there's kind of through traffic. Because we had an experience where there were a number of instances of first responders trying to get in that night, whether I was on the beat, so to speak, and the police had to run from Jerringham Street. The ambulance, paramedics had to run in from Jerringham Street, and yet there were life and death situations going on.
So to make those changes, is that a council-controlled street, or do you have to go to state government?
No, council-controlled, but working in conjunction with the police. So we introduced the new zone, let's say, and the police then police it.
Perfect.
So that's been really positive. And lighting, the police have highlighted on a regular basis that the lighting in Wurriki Street needs upgrading, and also in Moorabool Street. So that we can do within the current confines of those streets, and just to brighten everything up so safety.
It's a sector, I mean, we argue and laugh about the nightlife and nightclub sector, but it's a very important sector, and they've actually been under so much stress over the last 12, 18 months. It's practically, in my job as a valuer, it's the one sector where we've seen continued rental decreases. We've seen so many of them go out of business now because the nightlife has changed, and we do, as a city and as a town, need to make it more accommodating for them and help them as much as we can.
Absolutely. So that was part of that, because the precinct at the moment is fairly tightly run within that little Mellop Street area.
Yeah.
So, of course, the other thing that we didn't touch on that I also want to add is the 2-hour free parking, the 2p free. That's been very good too. I've had, just about every week people telling me the reason they come back into town is because of
my parking tickets have about halved in number.
Oh, well, that's good.
It's certainly helped my bottom line.
So there is a cost. There is a cost to council, but as I say, it's. I don't really see it that way. I see it that if we have increased utilisation, that means that people are coming in that wouldn't have otherwise come in, and there's no guarantee that if you left the parking in there, that the numbers that were projected would have come in.
Well, that's right, and I'm still going to advocate that we have as more and more free parking we can get in the city, because we're competing with Westfields and we're competing with areas where you don't have to pay for parking, and we want to get the same trade and we want the same sort of foot traffic. So we've got to be competitive on the same playing field. While you're out there walking around, there's obviously another big issue for Geelong that's close to my heart, obviously, is homelessness.
Yes.
And you would have seen quite a few of them on your night travel. Yeah. And you've recently come out with an idea around pods and for homelessness. How big do you think the problem is, and how do you see the pods, and where are you getting with the pods?
Yeah, look, the issue, what I've been told, is around 1,500 people a night are looking for somewhere to sleep. You see it, Michael?
Numbers, isn't it?
It is big numbers.
Well, Lazarus is feeding about 100 odd people a day at lunchtime. Yeah. So, and that when I first started with Lazarus, when we were just a small organisation getting going, we're only doing 20 or 30. So,
right. It's an increase.
It's a massive increase, and I think we just had our biggest day ever, was only a couple of weeks ago, where it's after Christmas, and we had I think it was 140 or something through for lunch. Right. So that's a huge number, and as much as it's great that Lazarus can service that, it's alarming.
Yeah.
That the need is there.
And that's the thing that looking at it and learning about the services, Lazarus and Outpost, feeding the homeless seems to at least have a solution. That there are a number of organisations who are feeding them. The problem happens that when the likes of Lazarus closes at the end of the night, or Outpost closes, there's nowhere for these people to go. So they're just left to their own devices. And then they start occupying spaces that were not designed for people to be sleeping in. So they're not safe for the rough sleeper. And it's a scary experience for people using laneways and doorways and businesses.
Especially if you're female. The incidents that happen to females out there would scare some.
So that's what got me thinking. And then, so the pods are one idea. But from that, like anything, if you put an idea out there, people are attracted to that and they come back with other ideas. And we're building it up. Because with each homeless person, there's some sort of backstory. It's mental health, it's drugs, it's domestic violence.
Lots of layers, isn't there?
Lots of layers. Yeah. So whatever the solution is with homelessness, it has to have other services that are wrapped around it, as they describe. So there has to be an agency that's involved in running them, that are expert in doing that, who can provide all that support around those. Yeah. So, but the council can advocate and can facilitate again. So what we're going to do, building on from that, is to organise a forum to get into the room, all the people who are involved in this sort of area. And we will, as a council, take a leadership role in working this forward. And there, as I said, a number of people have been in touch about different options for the pods and like. So it's something I'm going to have a real focus on for this 12-month period.
I thought it was a great idea, to be honest. Out of all the ideas that I've seen explored in this issue over a long time, I thought it was a really novel and great idea. I'm looking forward to seeing what you can produce with it and how far you can get with it. But,
well, one thing that has happened is the pods, the company that has designed them, it's a UK company, they have agreed to give us the intellectual property and the designs and the plans. So we can now start partnering with Bunnings, Mitre 10, whoever. Maybe
Rendine, make it Geelong local.
Rendine. Maybe Rendine. Keep it Geelong local.
This is an opportunity, Greg.
So I think we can get this done with men's sheds, putting them together, and a real community-led project. I think we can do this.
Yeah, I reckon we can. This is the sort of leadership we love you for, Stretch. This is awesome. Yeah, fantastic.
Thank you.
Your advocacy, you need to advocate, and you're not afraid to speak about some of the big issues, particularly with state government.
Yeah.
How do you wear that mayor hat in versus trying to get funding from a state government perspective? Are you conflicted sometimes?
No, look, very straight right from the word go. As I met with the various politicians, I meet with them on a monthly basis, all the state politicians, they're very good that way. They know my politics, and I said to them, look, this is how we will work together the best, is that when we walk into the room, we leave our political hats at the door, and we focus on what's in the best interest for the City of Geelong. That if the city is successful in its endeavours, the reflected glory goes to everyone. And as I did in the lead up to the federal election, when I met with Libby, I said, Libby, I'm here to help you win the election. And she laughed. She said, I know the politics, where you come from. And I said, this is, Libby, I'm presenting you with the priority projects for the city, and that if your government supports them, we will absolutely give you the accolades for that. Having said that, we'll present these also to the Liberal side, and if they support them, we will also give them due reward for that support.
And they did.
Outcome.
They came.
Ultimately, it's about the outcome.
Yep.
And we're all there for the same reason, to do the best for the City of Greater Geelong. So that's why I don't feel conflicted, because I'm very open and transparent that this is all about trying to achieve the outcomes, and they'll get the reward if they support them.
You've been in a role 12 months, well, a bit longer than 12 months now. It's 12 months since we interviewed, but you've been in a while, and you've done a great job. We've all said that. But if you were to think of 3 things that you would like to tick off this year, 3 wishes that you would want for Geelong, what would those 3 wishes be?
In the lead up to the state election, I'd like to get a commitment for the establishment of a special economic zone for the CBD, because I think that would absolutely free up.
It should be an easy thing
the
for them
development.
to do, right?
Very easy, because it actually doesn't cost them any money, and that's the point. And Jess Wilson made the point when she was at this meeting that there's not going to be a lot of money, because we know the state of the finances of state government. So they're looking for initiatives or projects that not necessarily going to cost them any money. So to that extent, signing off on a special economic zone won't cost them anything. So there's that. Then the market square is still one that I can't quite.
Glad I got in there.
I can't quite get it off out of my head.
Oh, it's a big piece, isn't it?
It's a big piece,
Yeah.
and I can't quite see how that's going to be achieved, but it has to be on the agenda that we're going to continue to
well, let's assume
pursue it.
for our 3. Let's assume because this is without notice, by the way, but that they all can be done.
Yeah.
So we're going to get the economic zone.
Economic
We're gonna
zone.
Get market square.
Market
What is
square.
the big number 3?
The number 3, and it brings in the Avalon precinct. I think that's a big focus for me. I'd love to see Lockheed Martin announced, but I'd also, with the state election in mind, I'd like to see the passenger rail link between Geelong through Werribee into Melbourne reintroduced.
Yeah, that would be awesome. That would make a big difference too. Well, I have a 4th.
Yeah.
On your behalf. I want you, my 4th would be that you stay mayor and get all this stuff done, those 3 things done in your mayorship, because I think you've created such great leadership for our town. I think we're all right behind you.
Well, thank you.
It'd be really great to see it done. So my 4th wish is that this council sees fit to keep this man as mayor as long as possible.
That was unsolicited.
Well, we are both thankful for your advocacy for our city. You're a bit of a man on a mission, and we appreciate everything you're doing and trying to better Geelong, and we thank you for inviting us into your offices, and thanks for appearing on Prop once again.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. Thanks
Richard.
Gareth.
Appreciate
it.
Well, it is time to wrap up this month's episode, but we'd just like to thank Mayor Stretch Kontelj for inviting us back into Wurriki Nyal, and it was great to be back. We were here about 3 years ago with the developer Shane Quinn, who gave us a tour prior to council moving in.
It's a beautiful building. I just, as we discussed with Stretch, you want to see the council fully use it, utilise it for what it is, because it's cost a lot of money, but at the same time,
it's an amazing facility.
It's an amazing facility. It's great for Geelong to have a big beacon that says that this is Geelong, so it's great.
And also for his candid chat, he's willing to roll up his sleeves and he's having a real crack. So
I just like how he's energy.
Really admire
he
all that.
Brings a lot of energy to Geelong and leadership when it's required. So, he's not afraid to reach out and touch the right people and have that leadership, which is what we've been begging for many years. And I honestly say I think he's the best mayor we've had in a long time.
Right man in the right seat at the right time, I think.
Absolutely.
So you want to touch on another small
one? I want to give a bit of a tribute before we close off to all the people that are out in the districts, in the regions that have suffered from the fires in Victoria. We've obviously my family's a rural family, and a fire came pretty close to our property over the break in Meredith, and it was really interesting to see and great to see the turnout, both to the CFA from volunteers, but also the turnout of private citizens and private farmers and their kids and all that sort of stuff with different appliances looking to help put out fires and ember strikes and that sort of stuff. Because it's not just on the fire line where you see the work done. The work's done also where the embers are falling behind the fire lines, where the volunteers are helping with the recovery centres, the people that are donating stuff. I think over the last 12 or 18 months, it does really, since COVID really, it feels like we've lost some sort of spirit, some sort of thing that made us who we are, made our country great. And I really feel like sometimes some things that happen, tragedies, things that happen that bring us back together. And I think on the combination of the fires, the floods in Queensland, the Bondi terrorist attack, the Wye River floods, that you saw some amazing stuff happen with these tragedies. You saw down at Wye River, there's people there that are backpackers that don't speak any English, that aren't even from this country, that are helping people get their cars and get their families out of there. You see, Bondi terrorist attack, a guy that's not even from this country for very long, who's gone and wrestled a gun off a terrorist, and done some, an amazing heroic thing, and then you see all the fireys out there putting their life on the line. One of our employees, James Liston, was on a truck up in Skipton helping out to put out fires of other people's farm while his own farm, almost burnt to the ground. With his kids and his wife had to be evacuated. I'd like to end the episode with a tribute to everybody that's helped out, for the tribute to everybody that's had a thought or done something to help, and it's just bloody good, and thanks for being great Australians.
Yeah, well, thanks. They're good words, and our thoughts from all of us are proper with all those that are affected, and you said it well. So
thank you.
Thanks for joining, and we'll see you next time on Propped.